Okay, now it is 12:40 a.m. May 28th, 2019. I just took this out of the oven, so it's still bubbling, right? So I'm going to let it cool for a while, and then I'm going to try and get it into the fridge. This is still cooking, you can see, and this is cooled enough now it can go in the fridge. Okay, so while I'm doing this, I thought I'd show you. So this has been sitting out now, it's ready to go into the fridge, but of course I have to put all this into the fridge. So I'm making room, right? So I'm switching over to the pots because this one's a little smaller, but before I do that, because this has been sitting here for a while now, if you go like this with your spoon, it's a different kind of fat, people. Do you see? It almost looks like melted butter, right? So you can skim off fat that way before you even stick it in the fridge, right? Because if you notice all these little bits of things floating in there, I want that in my juice, right? Because that's nutrients, that's demeros and all that stuff, right? But this here is really just as grease. This is as if you were to render the skin and you'd get that grease, because that's what's it's gonna congeal, right? So I'm just showing you. Hold on. Anyway, it's the next day. This is the broth from the pork. As you can see, I've been skimming off fat. I'm going to leave a little bit, but I took off a lot from that, and the other one's from the chicken broth. Right, I took off from some there. This is from the chicken that I baked last night. This is the corn. I've been blanching. This is the pork. I'm going to start cutting it. This is the ginger. This is the juice from that was stewing for 2 days. Don't really like it, but it's okay. There's some carrots. I've already boiled the sweet potatoes for 10 minutes. Those are little new potatoes. You can see them. Hold on a minute. Okay. So I so hate doing this to press people. I got into a huge fight with Tisha, right? Anyway, that is the broth from the pork. Some of it that was cooking in the pot over there. You can see I took half. And then when I baked that chicken in the oven last night at 1 o'clock in the morning, I had put vegetables around it, right? With a little bit of brown sugar. So I put that in there too. So all in all, it tastes pretty good, actually. And it's really rich. It's really actually quite delicious. So I've already blanched the potatoes for 2 minutes. I boiled the sweet potatoes for 10 minutes. Now I'm just going to blanch these for a few minutes. I'm going to blanch that for a few minutes. The frozen peas you don't have to blanch. And then because my son said I should be giving Amari some kidney beans, I'm going to get a can of kidney beans, and I'm going to put a few kidney beans in per jar. So this is the first batch of what I'm going to do right now. Hold on. Okay, so basically I used the same pot to blanch everything. First I did the sweet potato, then the potato, right? What else did I blanch? And then the carrot, and then now I'm doing a little bit of corn, right? And this is the broth. It's really, really good. So I'm going to set up my jars. I'm going to start filling up the jars. That's the way I'm going to do it, people. I'm going to fill up the jars. I'm going to boil the broth, and then I'm going to pour the the boiling broth into the jars. And then I'm going to switch over the canner here, okay? Hold on. Okay. Just assuming that this is working because the screen looks all funny, but it uploaded okay. But I noticed this camera does a lot of jerking. Or I changed the, oh God, knife. I changed the, reading on the computer. So anyway, from what I gather, this is a sweet potato. From what I gather, everything needs to be kind of like no more than 1 inch, 1.5 inch cubes, right? When you're canning, because it has to go kind of through, right? So I'm gonna do it this way. I think this is a dying art, people. I really do. At least for my family, my kids, one of the ones that are left, they don't want to learn it. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm doing here, people. So what I am doing is, I guess I should try and mix these up. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. Right. Mix things up here. Right. You don't really need to watch me about this. I'm moody right now. I'm really missing Shimei. Yeah. So I think I'm just going to turn this off and I'll show you what I've done after. Okay, so that's basically it for now. So what's in there is a whole bunch of peas, sweet potatoes, some pork with fat on it, right? Some kidney beans, a little bit of corn, a few potatoes and some carrots, and just little teeny weeny pieces of ginger. And this is the same stuff, bigger jar. And now I'm going to take the broth, I'm going to pour them in there hot, wipe the rims, move this over, get the canner going. Hold on. Okay, so the key here is that you don't overstuff your jars in terms of like a mash. You can't can mashed, what is it called? Sweet potato, that kind of stuff, because I guess it's hard for the heat to go through it, right? You're not supposed to make gravies with it for whatever reason. You can your food, and if you want gravy after you pour it and you heat it up, then you put whatever to make your gravy. You're not really supposed to use rice. You're not really supposed to use barleys and all those types of things. You're not really supposed to use flours and, you know, thickeners and all that other crap. So anyway, I didn't do any of that, right? So I kept it pretty freaking simple. It's really tasty. Now I'm going to put these ones on the bottom, put the lids on, screw them on just lightly, put these ones on the bottom, and then whatever I can on top. And then because we're doing these ones here, it is a pint-sized jar, so 75 minutes. So I'm probably going to give it 80-85 minutes, right? Okay, so 12 half pint and 7 pints, right? And because there's sweet potato in there, if it was a quart, you'd have to do it for 90 minutes, right? But it's not a quart, it's a pint. So you got to do it at least 75 minutes. Same thing with the pork, right? Those are the two the more serious food safety in terms of preserving, right? In terms of longer temperatures. Okay, I have never used this before. I keep turning down my stove here, and I don't know. I'm on like 6 now. When I use my canner, boy, my little thing is rocking. But this thing just keeps rising. You can't really start the timer until it's not rising anymore, because you keep turning down the heat, but it keeps rising. Oops, sorry. I'm paying attention to it. I've never used one of these before. It looks like it's maybe not rising now. You don't want it dropping too much now, right? So I've got the stove on 6. Wow. Seems to be stable now. people. Do I start counting on this? Or do I just turn it down a bit more and try and bring it to 10, between 10 and 11? Right. Does it matter? As long as it's not below 10, right? You would think. Right. Looks like it's still rising. Fuck. Now I'm on 5.5. Like it keeps rising. And I keep turning down the heat. Look, it moved again. I'm wondering if this thing even works. Oh, Jesus Christ, man. Hold on. Okay, I start the timer now. So I'm just going to leave it on that. Alright. I've got my stove almost on 5. I've never pressure canned on 5. This is different. This is a 15-pound weight. Where is it? That's a 15-pound weight. It doesn't start to jiggle until it goes past 15. I never used this before. Okay, so as long as it doesn't go below 10 pounds pressure on the gauge, you're okay. Right now I got my stove on like 2, man. Wow, this is a completely different canner from what I'm used to. Like and I'm having to stand here and watch this to make sure it doesn't fall, right? Because I'm having to move it back and forth. I don't want to have to start this over again. This is a pain in the ass. I put it back on 3 almost, right? Because I don't want it to go below 11, and we're getting close to it. Okay. Anyway, it's the next day. Now it's 12:25 in the morning, people. This is my second batch, okay? Because I have vegetables and stuff already cut and everything. So anyway, I put the pork in here. I actually had it out in the freaking wash machine. Forgot about it. And those are those things there, right? Oh, sorry. Can you see? I'm sorry, people. Tired, right? Miserable. I'm miserable. So anyway, I put the meat in the stock. The stock is like unique tasting from cooking that chicken and adding those extra bones. Cooking it twice, well, for 2 days or whatever it is, it gives it a unique flavor. And then here's the rest of the vegetables that I didn't finish, so hold on. So anyway, I don't know, this battery, there's something wrong with this camera. Got it off Facebook, whatever. The other camera, I can't seem to find an adapter, so I can't even use it at this point, right? Because, I don't know. Anyway, I'm just going to heat this up quickly. Just bring it to a quick boil, right? And then I'm going to transfer it into jars. And this pressure canner, it's different. Hold on. Okay. So, just that little bit that I did, people, it used up the battery. Like, there's something like seriously wrong. This thing is on low again. I don't get it. But anyway, this is what I've done. This is pretty tasty. This one is just leftover corn, leftover sweet potato, little potato, and a little carrot with the pork and the broth. Alrighty, so second time around, so far, isn't so bad. But it goes like as low down as like 3 and 2 on the stove just to hold it at 12 to 13, whatever pressure, right? Because I'm afraid to take it to 11, between 11 and 12, because I'm just like standing here turning this knob like every 5 minutes, because it moves, right? It doesn't stay, it moves. It keeps going up, so I'm afraid. I think that's running over, right? And this doesn't require as much water either, I don't think. So I put less water. There's a line there. Last time this didn't do this. I don't know why it's doing this time, but it is. So, well, okay. So now what that means is the pressure is locking in the canner, right? And it's got to go steam out for another 8 more minutes, and then I start turning it down, right? You see that? That's what we want. I don't know if it's supposed to go that fast. That's pretty fast. That's like mine. You see that? Anyway. Okay, so now it's the next day in the afternoon, 3 o'clock. I was up to like 4:30 this morning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it up here. I'm going to end this video. I'm going to upload what I've done. This is first batch with a lot of peas in it. Can you see? And corn and whatnot. There's some beans. Right? Here was just, like I said, the leftovers. I already gave 2 jars, 1 each to my son for him to taste it. So now I'm going into chicken because this was all the pork, right? I think what I'm going to do with the chicken is something different. So I'm going to upload this and then we'll be back. Hold on.